How's it going? It's Ethan, or Thick, back with some more art. Today we're looking at my jellyfish sculpture that I made, and I'm going to take you through the whole process pretty much from start to finish. And I guess the start would be with the 3D modeling. So I'll take you to the file here where I have all these components. And I'll kind of take you step by step through how I started this. Obviously, the top of a jellyfish is kind of dome-like, so I just made, a circle, cut off the majority of the bottom, and then on the edges, I did a series of these kind of, I guess, what are these called? The shape? I don't even remember. A hyperboloid. It's a hyperboloid. And I just put a ball at the end. Did that like 8 times and then joined it together to get this kind of ring shape. Oop. This ring shape here. And then I just slapped that on the bottom of this big ol' most of a ball shape. That kind of gave me a good base for the top of this jellyfish. And then from there, I wanted to add some textures to it. So I took this big old ball and I created a lot of dowels and shapes to stick right through. And then what I ended up doing is I turned all of these into holes like that. I erased them from this shape and then added back a smaller version of the big ball to the middle, which gave me this, where there are some lips and some depth in there, but there's still an overall kind of middle mass. It's just kind of exterior detail that I won't have to paint on. That's pretty much all the detail from the top. The tentacles themselves were... I should be smarter about how I show this. The tentacles were just a bunch of helix parts that I stuck together. Like this black shape here is one kind of helix that I made a certain depth, width, height. And then this white or silver one is the same type of idea, but skinnier, flatter. And then when you put the two together and you add kind of like an inside helix, you get a pretty solid little tentacle shape there. And then the middle kind of support column is very similar to what the tentacles look like. It's just got a giant cylinder through the middle for support. And you could ignore these little spindly parts. They did not come out well in the printing process, so I ditched them. But when you put all of it together, it ends up looking like this. Now, this was kind of the first idea, all right? I ended up getting rid of the smaller tentacles. Oh, I forgot to mention the base. The base is just a bunch of balls stuck together on another big half of a sphere down here. The base is nothing special at all. It's just a bunch of balls. Individual walls. And then all that together is a jellyfish that's kind of sitting on top of, or floating on top of, some rocks, I guess. And then when I took this file, I took this whole thing as an object by itself. I ran that through my 3D printer, and it came out as just a chunk, just a chunk of plastic with support material running throughout. Pretty much all of this inside was completely filled up with support material. So I would have had to meticulously clip every single segment away, and that just wasn't doable. So I decided I actually had to take this final shape here. Let me get it away from all the noise. So I had to take this final shape and kind of split it up, because trying to do it all at once was stupid. So I took the chunks, I got rid of the small bits, the small tentacles were out. I separated all the other tentacles. I took the base of these pieces and I set them into the base and the top of the bulb so that they would have a place to slide into. I thought this would be a good idea, right? And then on top of that, I split the dome in half so I could do that in 2 pieces and have a good flat surface to print from. And then to save a little bit of material, I also, since it's 2 pieces, I wanted to make sure they joined it perfectly. So I created 2 holes, and then there are these 2 dowels that will go in between the 2 halves that will not only line them up perfectly, but it will give them structure instead of it just being glue or something. So this ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total pieces that would be put together. That's basically how that was gonna go. So from here, I thought I was pretty confident. I thought that I could start and everything will work out. So let's check out how that went. The first print was okay. Like, I tried to do it in more pieces the first time. That sucked, okay? Like, as you can see, there's 100 little pieces here that I tried to print. That was a horrible idea. There's gaps in everywhere. I don't even remember. I don't even have the 3D file to show how I split it with this. This was just a horrible idea. I'm glad I scrapped it because printing this way caused so many problems with the first layer. That after that, I had learned that you print 1 piece at a time, and then to increase the chances of the pieces fitting together, I scaled everything up super big. So these giant pieces are coming off 1 piece at a time with all this support structure on there. You can see the tentacles embedded in these parallel structure lines. It's like super dense in there. And then after you remove all the supports, time to put the pieces together, but I didn't have the right cement for PLA. So what I use to kind of fill the gaps and smooth everything over is actually epoxy putty. And as you can see, it looks really rough right now after removing the supports and before like really cleaning it up, it does look pretty rough. I use the epoxy putty, I put the dowels in, tentacles are in, and after it's all pressed together, I primed it in gray. I did not film the priming process, I just had a spray primer. And after the first coat of spray primer, I did a base coat of white. I really wanted the pink to pop. And jellyfish don't really have like shadows on them. So I'm trying to put white everywhere so I can make pretty much every part of it really vibrant. On top of the white, we added pink. I would say as far as like base coats are concerned, if we're including pink as one of the base coats, there were probably 6 coats of paint that went on before I moved on to any of the other details. Yeah, pretty much just the whole thing got hit with the basic pink. Just to start and be nice and easy. I didn't want to try to mix a unique color for the base coat. I knew that would be too difficult to replicate if I had to make more. And I didn't want to waste paint. For the rocks, I just picked, you know, a basic gray to throw on there as the base. Nothing crazy, really, just gray. But, you know, it's only the first layer. And then I wanted the rocks to not just look like balls. I wanted them to have a little texture. So I put a lot of white paint down. And then to give their, I don't know, a little marbleization, I guess, a little texture, I kind of mixed in some black a little bit loosely. And then when I was putting the paint onto the surface with the brush, it was kind of like a marbled-ish texture with varying degrees of, you know, grays and blacks and whites. Man, I should have cut this part out. And then I kind of, from there, started on the inside and outside of the tentacles detail. I wanted them to be like pretty unique looking, because tentacles have a lot going on. The rest of this is gonna be pretty flat and blocky as far as color blocking is concerned. So I had the idea to put in all these little details on the insides, the outsides of these tentacles. And it was quite a process turning this thing around and trying to like see from the right angle. I made my life very hard with all these helixes. And after I got the tentacles done, I needed to go back to the rocks. They had finally dried. And I used varying degrees of gray to put a splatter on there. And that was to give a more sedimentary look to the rocks. Summer, if you're watching, yeah, that's your toothbrush. I used it. I'll buy you a new one if I have to, but that's your toothbrush. But yeah, the speckle, the spatter, it makes it a lot nicer. Then I can move on to the top of the jellyfish. painting the inside kind of like lips, not lips, ridges with this light blue that I used on the tentacles as well. I wanted it to be like almost white. And then for the insides of these areas, I was putting dots of way more vibrant color to kind of give it some more life, I guess. Yeah, so the whole thing is gonna get hit with these dots of purples and reds. And then after all is said and done, here it is, the final shot. I had these little beads that I put in to kind of represent like eggs maybe, or I don't know, little pearls, whatever they are. I thought it looked really good. I just spun those around and mixed them with some Mod Podge and then poured them on. So the whole thing is covered in also a clear coat, a couple of layers of clear coat. I really wanted the inside of the jellyfish to kind of look like it was glowing a little bit, which is why I put the yellow on the top like that. There's a cat for scale. Yeah, I think it came out really well. The only thing I'm kind of unhappy about is the seam on the top dome between the two halves. I wish I had kind of sanded that down more and gotten that to be a more flush thing. But yeah, that's how that went down. I'm not done. I actually want to take this and improve it even more, because if you look right here, this joint between the base and the pillar, and also the joint between these cavities and the tentacles were all such a tight fit that I couldn't actually screw them into each other the way I thought I could, and the geometry on the side here made it kind of impossible for them to actually screw into each other. So I ended up kind of cutting some of this off, probably like right about here at this area, cut off this much, and then used the epoxy sculpt to get that stuff in there. So what I want to actually do probably right now is take this over to another file, and I want to edit it so that these parts go together a little easier. So what I want to do is take this cross section and find kind of, I guess, how this interacts with the underside of the jellyfish dome here. I'm gonna try what I think is the easiest way, which is to just put a peg on it, and then we join the pieces. There's still just a little bit that's clipping into the green. I'm gonna try a weird idea. All right, let's try that. We're gonna cut off a bunch of it. Duplicate. Right about there. Spin at 90. So if I look at the holes, they don't slam into the edge anymore, so I could probably actually use that. All right, let's group them. See if these holes worked. My cat is asleep. Meowing her sleepy meows. That looks good to me. We have 2 halves. And then the only thing that I want to do from here is kind of hollow out this area. And I'll give this thing about 6 millimeters of width. And then you might be wondering, why am I doing this at all? I already have the thing. I already have it. I'm doing this part so that if I want to make it again, it'll print itself easier. It'll go together easier. I can make it smaller than gigantic, and it'll be great. That's pretty much where I'm at. Here it is, the final jellyfish. Thanks for watching and hanging out. I cannot believe how big this is. Like, do you understand how big this is? Hang on. This is a wine bottle, all right? The same size as a wine bottle. Bigger. It's like a 2-liter. I could not be happier with this. I love this. I'd do it again any day. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please come through to my website at www.thick216.com. All my favorite designs are there. Come through to my Instagram where I have all of my published works, only bangers on my Instagram. My Redbubble page features all of my best designs on some wonderful merch. All kinds of clothing, mouse pads, hats, anything you can think of. Shower curtains, stickers, laptop cases, phone cases. Here I am displaying a nice hoodie, classic design, a pillow. Who could do without a pillow? Nobody. Everyone needs a pillow. Very soft. We've also got prints. Any kind of print you could want. Posters, metal prints, framed prints. We've got zipper bags, zipper pouches. Put every pencil, every pen you've ever had in there. Mouse pad, desk pad, game mats. Anything you could think of. I've even got a bath mat and a shower curtain. Also come through to my TikTok, small videos there, and then my YouTube for all my full-length videos, and Fiverr if you want me to make art for you.